Hi everyone, it's Gigi. I am so excited today to cook another recipe out of my book called The Secret Ingredient, and it's out bookstores everywhere. I am going to do the easiest pie crust you could ever do, but the best. Now, what you're going to need are some really simple ingredients. You should never, ever go get a store-bought pie crust again, period. It's offensive. After you've learned this, it's easy and simple. Let's get started. So what you will need is flour. You're going to get a bowl like this. You're going to get 2 cups of flour. Just make sure you even it out and that there's exactly 2 cups of flour. Then you're going to take a third of salt, just regular iodized salt, and you're going to pour it in there. And you're going to mix this up. You always want to mix your dry ingredients first. And once again, Crisco, one of my favorite things in the world to use, this is my secret for the pie crust. So we take 2/3 heaping cup of Crisco, butter Crisco. You can use butter, you can use regular Crisco, but the butter Crisco is what makes the magic. Okay, so a heaping 2/3 cup would be this, heaping 2/3 cup, okay? We're putting this in the mixture of flour and baking soda, not baking soda, salt. Okay, now, this is why this pastry cutter is so important. The number one thing you have to know about crust, you never hardly want to touch your crust, because the oils on your hand and the heat of your hand makes your crust mushy. So what you really want to remember, don't touch your crust, and the less you touch it, the more flaky it will be, okay? So that is why we use our handy dandy pastry cutter. And we are going to cut the Crisco into the flour mixture, like so, until you have little tiny beads. Okay. So now that we have blended this like it's little peas, it looks like little beads, and you haven't touched it with your hands, remember that, no touchy. Then what you do is you take, here's the other secret to an amazing crust. You take 6 tablespoons of ice water, not regular water, iced water that's been iced for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you put 6 tablespoons, 3, I gotta count it, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of ice water into your mixture. And then without hands, once again, you're using your pastry cutter, right? You mix this and blend it. And once you blend it, then you're gonna see if it's too soft or too hard. You might need a tiny another half a teaspoon of water. Here we go. Okay, now, so it's really starting to come together as a dough. As you can see, it's going to be a little dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a half a tablespoon, and I'm going to pour a little bit more in there, just so it can start clumping together and forming into a ball. Okay, so it's really coming together now. See how this is working? All right. Some people say, well, just do it in the mixer. You can, but I don't know. It doesn't feel the same to me. I like to do things by hand. Okay, now, this is about the perfect texture you want it to be. So now, I'm going to touch it, but just a tiny bit, because you have to form it into a ball. All right, you take your old cheesecloth or whatever you have as far as a towel, and let me grab some, oops, take a little flour, and I'm going to quickly, with my hands, form it into a ball. Okay, put it on the cheesecloth, and guess what? You're ready to make a pie. my blueberry cobbler, my savory stuffed pies. They're all in the book, and guess what? It's made with this crust that took you, what, 5 minutes? No more store-bought, always fresh. All right, for a small, like a fruit pie, you would have a pie dish. Put it right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to half this because that will make a small pie. And now I take a little bit of extra flour, I put it on my cheesecloth, and then I roll it into a ball. I don't like touching it this much, but sometimes you have to. Now I take my trusty old rolling pin, put some flour on it, and roll it out. Here we go. And while you're rolling, just make sure you've got this to where it's looking like more of a circle. Roll out. I don't think I'm the best of rollers. I think there's better rollers in the world. So my pie crust isn't perfect and doesn't look store-bought, but isn't that the purpose? You don't want store-bought. So I kind of get the little corners, make them a little prettier. Now you're going to roll this out, so I need to do a little bit more of rolling. It's a little thick. So here we go. See how I'm rolling it to the different sides? Is it a beautiful crust? Oh, maybe not. Is it delish? Yes. Okay, so we're at the point to where we take the pie crust. It's pretty thin. We stick it in the pie pan. Now, this is another secret. I press it like this. I take a fork, I take a fork and I poke some holes in it, in the bottom. Then I fold my pie crust. See how I'm doing this? You just fold it. Does it look perfect? No, it doesn't, but it's handmade. So we want it to look handmade. You fold the pie crust all around. Should that have been better? Yeah, oh well, it'll taste great. Okay, so here we go. Then you take your thumb and your finger, and this is called fluting your pie crust. Look at that. Here we go. Are you ready to bake a sweet, wonderful pie? Yes, you are. You're ready. Put some blueberries in it, put some pumpkin in it, put some lemon in it. Maybe that'll be my next show. And here we are, a completed pie crust ready to bake. To learn how to do this, go on the link below, go online at gigibutler.com, or get my book called The Secret Ingredient.